The 1992 dismemberment murder case. A chilling tale of mystery and justice. Introduction. In early 1992, a discovery shattered the peace of a small town, one that would haunt investigators for months to come. Deep within a remote wooded area, authorities uncovered human remains in a state so gruesome that it immediately indicated something far from a simple death. The victim's body, missing his head, hands, and feet, was almost unrecognizable. This horrifying mutilation wasn't random. Removing head, hands, and feet is a deliberate act. It strips away a person's identity and obstructs basic forensic investigation methods such as fingerprinting and dental record comparison. The extremity of the crime suggested not just violence, but a calculated attempt to hide evidence. The investigation that followed tested the limits of early 1990s forensic science and police perseverance. As detectives dug deeper, what began as a baffling mystery unfolded into a gripping story of betrayal, desperation, and justice served against all odds. In this video, we will walk you through every step of this case, from the background of the victim to the discovery, investigation, arrest, trial, and aftermath. Join us as we uncover one of the darkest mysteries solved by innovation and relentless determination. Chapter 1. The Life and Last Days of Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson was 34 years old and led a life that, to many, seemed unremarkable. Employed as a construction worker, he lived alone in a modest home on the edge of the town. Those who knew him described Michael as quiet, dependable, and somewhat reserved but friendly when approached. In the weeks leading up to his disappearance, Michael's life was marked by increasing turbulence. Having recently broken off a long-term relationship, he seemed restless and distressed, a fact noted by his closest friends. Some suggested that financial troubles plagued him. Others saw signs of emotional strain, possibly linked to unresolved personal issues. When Michael failed to show up for work one Monday morning and didn't respond to calls from friends or family, worry grew rapidly. He was officially reported missing after a few days, but without any leads, the case soon went cold. However, everything changed with the gruesome discovery that would shock the community and reignite a relentless police investigation. Chapter 2. The Gruesome Discovery. On the morning of March 15, 1992, two hikers exploring a heavily wooded area near the river stumbled upon what appeared to be human remains partially hidden beneath dried leaves and brush. Local police were alerted immediately and rushed to the scene. What they saw was deeply unsettling. A male torso, arms, and legs, but distressingly, the head, hands, and feet were missing. Initial examination revealed that the missing parts had been removed with surgical precision. Clean and deliberate cuts made with a sharp instrument, likely a large knife or saw. The dismemberment served a sinister purpose: removing potential identifiers. Identification through fingerprints or dental records was impossible at this stage, and the body was too decomposed for immediate visual identification. Investigators also noticed other unusual details. Blood spatters suggested a violent struggle had taken place nearby, and the body showed no signs of rapid burial or concealment, almost as if the killer expected the remains to be found. Yet, despite these obstacles, clues remained: pieces of torn clothing, a distinctive wristwatch inscribed with a name, and a tattoo partially visible on one arm that hinted at the identity of the victim. Chapter 3. Forensic Challenges and Breakthroughs. Without fingerprints or a head for dental comparison, forensic experts faced a daunting challenge. Identification had to rely on other scientific methods, many of which were in early developmental stages at the time. The first step was to recover DNA material from the bones and tissue. Extracting DNA from decomposed remains is a delicate process, and back in 1992, such procedures were not as advanced as today. However, specialist teams painstakingly collected bone marrow and tissue samples for DNA profiling. Law enforcement also turned to forensic anthropology to estimate the victim's gender, age, race, and stature. From the bone structure, experts concluded the victim was a middle-aged Caucasian male, approximately 5'10", tall. Clothing remnants, a faded denim jacket, a plaid shirt, and rugged boots left near the torso, were examined for brand labels and wear patterns. A distinctive engraving on the wristwatch bore the initials MT, a vital clue. Through community outreach, police collected DNA samples from relatives of missing persons matching the preliminary profile. Eventually, by comparing DNA sequences, the victim was positively identified as Michael Thompson. This DNA breakthrough renewed the entire investigation and drew media attention to the case, highlighting not only the brutality but the forensic hurdles overcome. Chapter 4. Following the Trail. Investigative Leads. With the victim identified, investigators shifted focus to his personal life. They conducted extensive interviews with family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors to reconstruct Michael's last days. This led to further revelations. Michael had last been seen alive roughly 2 weeks prior, leaving a local bar late at night. Witnesses remembered him conversing with a man named David Collins. David Collins was a known figure in the town, a powerfully built man with a history of violent outbursts and financial troubles. Reports suggested Collins had expressed strong resentment toward Michael over a debt dispute and possibly personal rivalry. Witnesses recalled Collins threatening Michael in the days before his disappearance. Police began close surveillance of Collins' activities and obtained a search warrant for his residence. Rummaging through his basement, they found sharp blades and a wooden crate stained with what seemed to be blood, later confirmed through lab tests. Inside his vehicle, fiber samples matched those found on the victim's clothing at the crime scene. Evidence stacked against Collins was mounting. Chapter 5. Arrest and Interrogation. On April 10, 1992, David Collins was taken into custody. Initially, he denied any involvement, claiming ignorance of Michael's fate. Interrogators confronted him with the forensic evidence: blood traces, fibers, witness accounts, and his financial motives. After several hours, Collins broke down and confessed. He admitted the two had argued intensely over money, and that during the confrontation he attacked Michael in a fit of rage. Fearful of consequences, Collins claimed he dismembered the body to hide it, but underestimated how quickly the police would identify his victim. This confession led detectives to further search grounds where Collins indicated was the original site of the crime, a shallow grave near the riverbank that was partially disturbed by wildlife. Chapter 6. The Trial. The trial of David Collins was one of the most talked-about events in the town's recent history. The prosecution presented a strong case. The forensic evidence was detailed and precise, and their expert witnesses testified to the nature and severity of the crime. The defense argued Collins acted in self-defense and that the dismemberment was a panicked impulse, not premeditation. They also presented psychological evaluations suggesting impaired judgment. However, the jury was swayed by the weight of scientific evidence, eyewitness testimonies, and Collins' own confession. After deliberating for less than 3 days, Collins was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Chapter 7. Aftermath and Legacy. The brutal nature of the crime had a profound effect on the community. Michael Thompson's family found some solace in the conviction, though the loss remained a bitter wound. For law enforcement, the case illustrated critical gaps in forensic and investigative capabilities. In response, the department invested in advanced forensic training, expanded DNA databases, and enhanced interagency cooperation. The case became a reference point for future investigations involving dismemberment and identification challenges. It also prompted discussions around violence prevention and public awareness about domestic tensions that too often simmer into tragic outcomes. Conclusion: the 1992 dismemberment murder case remains a harrowing reminder of human cruelty and the power of resilient justice. The killer's attempt to erase identity through mutilation was ultimately foiled by scientific progress, forensic dedication, and relentless detective work. Michael Thompson's story, while tragic, represents a victory for modern law enforcement methods and the perseverance of those committed to uncovering truth, even when evidence is shattered. As forensic science continues to evolve, so too does humanity's ability to bring closure to the darkest crimes. This case stands as a testament to the unyielding quest for justice in the face of horror